Hi everybody, welcome to Cooking with Noah. So October is finally here and Halloween is almost upon us. So on that note, I do want to make my videos focus on a lot of fall recipes, which in my opinion is the best time for anything culinary. I love all of the fall flavors like pumpkin and squash and apples and all of that stuff. It's the best. I love fall. I love Halloween. I love it all. So today I'm gonna be making for you guys my very simple and easy pumpkin butter. I'm gonna be using whole pumpkins today, just to show you guys that it is pretty easy if you have whole pumpkins. So like, let's just say you have like a jack-o'-lantern and you're like, oh man, what am I gonna do with all this guts and all the stuff that I scraped out, right? It shouldn't go to waste, right? You could just whip up some simple pumpkin butter. You can also use canned pumpkin puree if you'd like, but like I said, using the whole pumpkin could possibly be helpful. Okay, so to start, we have 2 mini pie pumpkins. You can definitely use one larger pumpkin, but for the purposes of this video, I figured it would just be easier to get 2 mini pumpkins. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is slicing these guys in half and then putting it onto a foil-lined sheet pan so that it can roast in the oven. All right, so we're first gonna slice these guys in half. I'm not the greatest at this, so I usually just try to do like a very thin slit all the way to the side. Sometimes you get lucky and you find like a pretty ripe pumpkin that slices easily. This is not the case, so just be careful and just go along the edges as best you can. Definitely not looking for perfection here. This is all gonna get scooped up and go into the blender later on anyway, so just work your way all the way around the pumpkin until it comes apart. So we should be able to just pull it apart at this point because I can't cut through this part here, so I'm just gonna pull it apart and hope that it breaks right. Yes, perfect. And the stem broke right in half, and we have 2 somewhat decently halves of pumpkin. All right, so at this point I have my 4 pumpkin halves. So if you wanted, you can also scoop out these seeds and then roast them. I'm not gonna do that because for some reason every time I make pumpkin seeds nobody eats them, so I'm just gonna not do that. I hate to waste it, but it is what it is. So anyway, if you want to just take out the seeds, put them to the side, do that. What's great about this recipe as well is that you can also use the guts in pumpkin butter. So I'm just going to scoop out as much as the seeds as I can, and I will be back with you guys in a bit. All right guys, so I took out all the seeds and stuff from my pumpkins. As you can see, I left some of the guts in there, which is totally fine. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna give this a quick spray with some cooking spray. It doesn't really matter what kind, just any kind. And we're going to be placing them face down on a foil-lined sheet pan. All right guys, so we're gonna put these guys in a 450-degree oven. I'm gonna set my timer for 20 minutes and then check them. It usually depends on the size of the pumpkin, how long it should go in the oven. So if it's not done in 20 minutes, but kind of soft, just add 10. Anyway, I'll get back with you guys once these are roasted and ready to be blended and turned into pumpkin butter. So our pumpkins are roasted. So I let them cool for about maybe like 20 minutes just so that they're a little bit easier to handle. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to scoop out the flesh and just put it into a blender. So this should be really, really easy because we did roast these beforehand, and they should be easy to handle because they're cooled now. All right, so this is what your pumpkin should more or less be looking like. Don't worry about any of that burnt stuff. I made pumpkin butter like this all the time and it doesn't affect the flavor at all. So what's good is that, as you could see, the peel is just coming out, so you don't even really have to use a spoon. You could just take the peel right out. Just make sure to get any pieces, and then you could just toss that right into a blender. So I'm just gonna break it up to help my blender a little bit, and we're just gonna repeat that with all the remaining pumpkins. All right, so now we're just gonna blend this until it's smooth. So if it doesn't come together right away, just be patient with it. If you really need to, you can add a little splash of water, but it should puree just like this. All right guys, so I have my pumpkin puree here. So it's kind of hard to give you guys like exact measurements and stuff like that because every pumpkin is different, right? So for our purposes, like this is 5 cups of pumpkin puree. So I might have to do a little bit of adjusting with the sugar and stuff, but we will get to that later. Anyway, once we have our stuff completely blended, we're just going to pour it into a pot that it fits comfortably in. So I'm just gonna do that now and get this over to the stove. Once we get our pumpkin butter on, oh sorry, it's not pumpkin butter yet. So once we get our pumpkin puree on the stove, to that we are going to be adding in a 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, which is a lot, but cinnamon is good, so I do not care. And then we also have a teaspoon of cloves and a teaspoon of nutmeg as well. So this is what your pumpkin butter should be looking like. As you could see, the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the cloves gave it already that dark pumpkin butter color. So I will say though, I did underestimate how much pumpkin puree the pumpkin was gonna give me, so I'm gonna be adding in another 1/4 cup of sugar. So that's 1/2 cup in total. And I think that should be good because I don't want it to be too sweet because this is going to reduce a pretty good amount and then it's going to get sweeter. So we want it to be sweet but not too sweet. Okay, so once we're happy with our seasoning, you're just going to cook this on medium-high heat. So this is a pretty thick mixture and it's just going to keep getting thicker. So you can let this sit and maybe stir it like every few minutes or so, but it pops a lot. So I'm going to be stirring this close to constantly because I don't want to be cleaning up pumpkin butter from all over the kitchen. So I will see you guys in a bit. I would guess this would take about 30 minutes or so to be fully reduced. So I will check back in with you guys then. So it's been about 30 minutes and as you can see, this reduced quite a bit. So I would say maybe like about half. Another good way you could tell is you just take your spatula and if it stays on comfortably, then it is done. Because keep in mind that it is going to get a little bit thicker as it cools. So I'll be back with you guys in a bit to show you the finished pumpkin butter. Alright guys, so this is the finished pumpkin butter. As you can see, I put a little spider bow on it, and so this is ready to give as a gift if you wanted to do that. But yeah, so pumpkin butter is a really super simple, easy recipe to make. It does take a little bit of work, but you know, if you're willing to put in that work, it really is a very enjoyable fall treat. So there's a lot of things you can do with this. So you can just spread it on some toast and eat it like that. You can add it to pancake mix. You could add it to make muffins out of it. I'm gonna be making some pumpkin butter bars in my next video. So please do check that out if you want to use this pumpkin butter for something other than just having pumpkin butter. All right guys, that's it for me. So please like and subscribe and click the little notification button as well. I would really, really appreciate it. So that's it for now. Thank you. Bye-bye.